Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Genevieve Kang about season 2 of Locke Key, dropping on Netflix October 22nd. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
It's always exciting because, a show comes out, you're not sure what's going to happen. You all put your hard work into the show. It's, the graphic novels and everything. Everyone's excited about it. And then it comes out, the reception's amazing. But now it's kind of like everyone liked it and you get another season. What's that kind of like, that mindset, when you guys officially got a second season?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's going into it. Hopefully, I felt pretty good and confident in terms of just like because we had such good reception with the first season. So I don't know if other people felt more pressure.
Yeah.
That way for us to execute it in such a way that could follow up the great first season that we had. But for me, I felt like we already had this backing even before the first season came out. So the fact that it was received so well, it was just more, I think, momentum going into season 2.
Totally. And you were part of the Locke Key family, but you're also part of the Netflix family. I mean, Netflix's track record in the last couple of years is amazing. They're pumping out so much amazing content. How does that feel? How does that feel to be part of the Netflix family that just keeps growing and growing these days, Genevieve?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's great. I mean, because like you said, there is just so much content out there now. And so to be a part of a platform like Netflix, which is just so major and there's so many eyes on it, there's so many, the reach with the shows is so great. And I think also just like in terms of being a successful show on Netflix says a lot too, because there is so much selection. Like people could be watching anything, but they're choosing to watch our show or they're choosing to, again, stream Netflix. So yeah, feels good.
I find it interesting as well because the mindset's obviously going to shift when you go and you work on season 2 of Locke Key, and then in a week it's going to actually drop and everyone's going to be able to see it. For you specifically as an actor and storyteller, what are those two kind of mindsets like? The one where you're actually kind of in the zone, kind of making the show, and then now, what does it feel like now, mindset wise, with it actually going to be out there for people to see?
Yeah, it's interesting because it feels like so long ago that we were filming the second season, which it's actually, we didn't finish that long ago. It was like in the spring that we finished filming second season. But I think because we started filming season 2 around this time last year, it just, it feels like it's been so long and so much has happened since then that it's interesting kind of like getting revved up and getting back into, because obviously audiences are so excited to see the show and us kind of having to like get back into that groove and meet them where they're at. But yeah, I even just think of like season 1 when that came out. It's, I don't know how you can prepare for it fully, right?
Because, for sure.
Yeah, you just...
I don't think you can ever prepare for that, but I just find it from, having friends that work on the show as well. Shout out to Jessica Camacho. Just kind of this like, it's a weird, it feels like a weird feeling where you're making this show and you're working on it for such a long time, and then the day finally comes where like everyone's gonna be able to see it. Like,
no, and because we're making it in our own little bubble, and we're seeing all the odds and ends to it, and then to see the finished product is obviously a very different experience than when we're on set making it, and then for audiences to see it and get their experience of it.
Everyone's excited to see season 2. We're obviously not going to dive into big spoilers. Some cool arc for your character in season 1, kind of part of the group, friends of a lot of characters that go through a lot we're going to see in season 2. What can we expect with your character this season without kind of going into a lot of spoilers?
Yeah, there's a lot more, we see a lot more of the development between Tyler and Jackie's relationship. Also with the prospect that Jackie and Tyler are going to be turning 18 soon. And as we learn in the first season, once you become an adult, you no longer remember the magic. So there's a lot of exploration there that we see in season 2 that I think audiences are going to find really interesting.
I love the term genre bending. and I use it a lot for music too. When I interview a lot of musicians, that's some kind of like that's probably the favorite type of music that I listen to right now is genre bending, where it's not just limiting to one sound. Lock and Key, we talk about like TV and film is very genre bending. There's a lot kind of going on if you think about it. There's, it has like a freaky, scary component to it. It's got that kind of fantasy aspect of it. I was just curious when you kind of signed on to this, Genevieve. Like did you notice that they were kind of throwing in a lot in there for you guys? Like it is a lot. There is a lot happening in Lock and Key, genre wise.
Yeah, no, and that's actually part of what attracted me to the project in the first place. I remember before auditioning, I got the first 4 scripts, and I couldn't put them down, and I think it was because there was just so much nuance in terms of, yeah, you got horror, fantasy, but then there's like, and then the mystery aspect, but then there's also just like it's grounded in this like story of this family. And there's a lot of heart there, and it ultimately is like a story, I think, about a family coming together to 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 fight these demons. But yeah, I think the story at the end of the day is about like family and community and love and coming together. So
I always found it interesting how you always have shows that it's almost like a tale of, like every show is like a tale of two shows. There's always like the subject matter. With this, it's like key house and magic and everything, right? So it's about that. But then it's like on the other side of things, it's about, like you said, like growing up, relationships, life, and everything. I love shows, like a lot of sports shows are like that these days too. Like Ted Lasso, it's about soccer, but it's not about soccer.
No, totally, absolutely, yeah.
Which is it? Do you like that about storytelling these days too? That we're kind of like I said, like the genre bending aspect of it, throwing things in there, but they're just becoming a lot more complex in terms of what is kind of being put on paper and then put on screen in terms of the ideas and the characters. There's a lot more complex ideas happening these days. Have you noticed that? Do you like that direction storytelling is going these days?
I do. I think it's important. I think, it's a way to then like address certain maybe issues that people don't want to talk about or address, but you can kind of present it in a way that's going to be more digestible or approachable for a lot of people. And then in that sense too, even just thinking of Lock and Key, but again, many different shows, there's almost like something for everybody. That's something for everybody to grasp onto and take towards. So whether you're like for Lock and Key, if you're into the fantasy magical aspect of it, great. But then you're also going to get to experience, again, the story of family, this coming of age, like all that as well. So yeah, I think it's important.
It's October. Lock and Key is dropping in October. It is part of Netflix's Netflix and Chill's lineup of a lot of kind of spooky things. It's spooky season. My question to you is, are you a fan of, can you do scary movies? Like, do you enjoy that?
I used to be better with them. I have to watch them with other people.
Okay, so you could tolerate them, you could dabble a little bit. Okay, so my next question is good. So are you, regardless, because I always ask that question, and then whether you're a fan or not, because like there's a lot of people that like are in like this. I find it crazy. There's some people that I know that I've interviewed that are in like the scariest movies I've ever seen. Like they're acting in it, but they hate horror movies.
Right.
And I find that so interesting.
Yeah.
And so my question is, regardless if you enjoy horror movies or not, and Lock and Key has a lot of that kind of scary thriller horror component to it in some circumstances as well. You have to admit that the genre of horror is pretty crazy these days in terms of what they're doing, right? Like it's becoming massive. I feel like there's been an explosion with a lot of that content.
Yes, and again, I think it goes back to like what I was saying before about how like, because you can kind of apply it, like the stories are maybe so different, but it's like within the horror genre. So it's like they're trying to appeal to many different types of audience members. Yeah, but yet it's still like horror.
Absolutely,
that makes sense.
Have you worked on anything like that was like a horror movie? Like obviously, there's some maybe that have like thriller. Have you worked on a horror movie before?
No, I haven't done like not like in the classic sense that we probably
that's gotta happen, right?
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to. Do a lot of funny things. Yeah.
It would be, I don't know, I just feel like it's just an exciting time too with and it's awesome because Locke Key's on Netflix is perfect to talk about this. I mean, the one thing that I'm loving, because they're saying we're in the golden age of content TV and film right now, and a lot of people are saying that because of many different reasons. I truly think that there's one prime reason why it's the golden age. A lot of people are saying, like, obviously the storytelling, the way it looks, like the cinematography and just the stories are just amazing and so real these days. So the quality is there. But
Yeah.
I personally think that the global access is what's making it incredible. Like, Netflix, like Lock and Key's season 2 is going to drop October 22nd on Netflix. 190 countries instantly have access to season 2. Like
Yeah.
it's nuts if you think about it.
Pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do you agree with me in that sense that that's a really cool thing about, like, it stands out, does it not? Like the access globally of all these shows and movies?
Yeah, I think so. And then that just creates a greater demand for them. If people are watching and consuming this content, then and enjoying it, and there's a good reception, then why not create more of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Specifically with season 2, I mean, have you thought, like, I mean, it's Calm Before the Storm. It's dropping pretty soon. I know you all have been waiting quite some time for this. Have you thought about takeaways yet in terms of like for the audience, like what you're hoping they get out of it when they get to see this season 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think not to give more of a cliche answer. I think we're always, or a lot of us as cast and crew are always looking forward to audiences consuming the show and hopefully enjoying it as much as like we enjoyed making it. But yeah, in terms of the actual, I mean, I think we were obviously left on like a big cliffhanger at the end of season 1. So we get to like explore so much more there. And I think just everything is much more.
Cliffhanger? No. How would that end? That was a cliffhanger? No, it was not.
But I think again, moving into season 2 and as we see this season evolve.
I hope you detected the sarcasm there.
Oh, of course.
Okay, I got confused there for a second. Yeah, no, huge cliffhanger.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. There's only going to be more of that in season 2, and not just by the end of season 2. We're going to have another cliffhanger. It's going to be like throughout the season. There's a lot. There's just like so much that happens that I can't talk about. But
do you find it that was actually my next question? Do you find it hard to do interviews? Like obviously, like I've seen some of it. You filmed it and you read the script, so like what happened. Did you find it hard? Do you find it hard to do interviews like this before things are out? Like it's a bit challenging, right? Because like certain things,
a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit because I'm also like not the best at keeping secrets. I mean, depending on the circumstance, of course. In my life, my personal life, I can keep secrets with like close friends and whatnot. But in certain times when it's like something you're really excited about, and yeah, I have to be so careful.
Kind of like a Tom Holland situation.
I mean, not that bad, but yeah, I definitely have to run things by my publicist, and we get kind of.
Oh, I think that was, I don't know. I'm sure you've seen me because those clips of Tom Holland like spoiling Spider-Man are all over the internet. The one where he was like, "There'll be a Spider-Man 2 and a 3," and then they're like, "Oh, we have notice about the second. We don't know about the 3." And he's like, "Whoops, now you know."
Yeah. So. I mean, it's definitely like I have to do my homework and make sure I'm ready to go so that if questions come up, I don't.
Well, there was a few TV shows that I did interviews with that I did the interviews like 2 weeks before the shows came out. And I had access because we get access to watch shows sometimes depending on production if they're done before we do the interviews. And I saw the whole thing and it was like 14 days out. And it was just weird to do the interview because it was like, even if I posted it like the day episode 1 came out, I just felt like I knew so much.
Right. You can't like talk about everything.
Yeah. And it's interesting too. And I do feel that's why interviews are becoming shorter and press junkets are like 5 minutes because I feel like they're just like a bit like concerned about like what the conversation's going to be. Like I definitely feel that that's a reason.
Right. Well, and I just feel like with so much like with social media and stuff, there's access to stuff and things can leak somehow. And then if it's blasted, it's like Yeah, the stakes are a little bit higher.
It's a firestorm, right? And it's like not, it's like a waterfall, right? Of like nonstop. It's crazy. I want to thank you so much for taking some time to chat about season 2. I really appreciate it, Genevieve.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Season 2, October 22nd on Netflix, Locke Key. And where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
I'm mostly just on Instagram, and it's Genevieve KNG at. Oh, I'm about to give me an email. It's just at Genevieve. Don't email me, please.
Okay. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Genevieve Kang from Locke Key. Season 2 is dropping October 22nd on Netflix, and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.